The Jacksonville Jaguars are a bad team with Trevor Lawrence. The Jacksonville Jaguars are, I don't know if they're a worse team. I guess they're a worse team without Trevor Lawrence. Here's the thing about Trevor Lawrence. I don't see it. Okay? I don't see it. Now, when we look at the contracts, there were lots of Lions fans that did not think that we should have paid Jared Goff. And Jared Goff, for most of the year, has proven them incorrect. We did have that blip of a game, that outlier of a game where he threw the 5 interceptions just last week versus the Texans, but we still won the game. We did start off the first 2 games a little bit slow. Okay, we started off a little bit slow offensively. Some of that was Ben Johnson. Some of that was Jared Goff. And some of the plays that Ben Johnson was calling, Jared Goff was audibling out of them, didn't like the look or whatever the case may be. So there was a bit of miscommunication between offensive coordinator and quarterback. That's 3 games out of 9. The other 6 games, Jared Goff has been fantastic. He's been an all-world quarterback. He was even firmly inside of the conversation in the top 3 for MVP. There was Lamar Jackson. There was Josh Allen. There was Jared Goff. Now, I don't know if it was in that order. A lot of people think that voting fatigue is going to cause Lamar Jackson not to get his 3rd in a row. Not in a row, but he's not going to get his 3rd MVP, right? With the way he's playing and the game that Goff had last week. Now, that's just last week. He could go out against the Jaguars and throw 5 touchdowns and no picks, which is pretty likely because the Jaguars defense isn't great, despite what you saw last week, where the Jaguars kept the Minnesota Vikings out of the end zone for the entirety of the game. The 12 points that the Minnesota Vikings scored in the 12-7 victory were all on the foot of their kicker. They did not cross the goal line, even with Justin Jefferson out there and so on and so forth. But when Sam Darnold throws 3 picks, you understand that the Vikings offense is not as high powered as the Detroit Lions offense, even though they do have Justin Jefferson. They do have Aaron Jones. They do have Jordan Addison. I think that was TJ Hawkinson's first game back. They've got pieces, but they don't have the straw to stir the drink and bring it all together. Whether that is Sam Darnold not being who people thought he was during the 5-game, 5-0 stretch that they went on. Whether it was, it's Kevin O'Connell not being as good as an offensive play caller as Ben Johnson. I mean, he's an extraordinary offensive head coach, right? But for some reason, the Jacksonville Jaguars at home were able to pretty much stonewall the offense of the Minnesota Vikings. Do I expect that to happen in the game against the Detroit Lions? I do not. I expect the Detroit Lions to get back on track. I expect the Detroit Lions, and especially having the experience with the Tennessee Titans, a team that you were supposed to beat the brakes off of. And you did, right? You came out a little bit slow. You came out a little bit lethargic. It was 14-14 at one time. And then that was the last point that they scored. They scored 14 points. They put up 2 touchdowns on you. And for the rest of the game, they did nothing. At one point in the 4th quarter, they were trying to run the clock out. The Tennessee Titans, trailing 52-14, they were the ones running out the clock. It wasn't the team that scored 52 points. No, They were waving the white flag and going, "No mas, bro. No mas. Please. Just stop scoring on us." That was the type of energy that the Jacksonville Jaguars were giving off. I mean, the Tennessee Titans. And hopefully on Monday we'll be talking about how the Jacksonville Jaguars are giving off the same energy. Okay. So just a fan, in case you were wondering, Monday you'll see me same time. Okay, 7 p.m. I might do every day next week. But the day I'll probably take off will be Thursday. So yeah, I'll probably do 4 lives next week, Monday through Wednesday, and then off on Thursday and then Friday. I think that's something that works for me as far as the schedule, and how I'm maneuvering in a different way with my schedule these days. So anyway, back to what we were saying. Um, the Jacksonville Jaguars are we're predicting them to be waving the white flag just like the Tennessee Titans. But with Trevor Lawrence, and how I like to Freudianly, slippantly, I don't think that's a word, but I just made it up. So Freudian slip is not an adjective, but I just made it an adjective, okay? Because I'm good like that with the talking thing, okay? So how I Freudianly, slippantly like to call Trevor Lawrence, Trevor Noah, okay? Because that's just I don't do it on purpose. It's a Freudian slip, but it happens, okay? So sometimes I call him Trevor Noah accidentally. But Trevor Lawrence with the golden locks, Rapunzel, let down your hair. I don't see it. Okay? I don't see it. And I was watching Armani and Edwards the other day, and I don't remember the guy's name, forgive me, but they had a Jacksonville Jaguars radio announcer on the show. And what his take on Trevor Lawrence was, Trevor Lawrence, in a nutshell, is a bad decision maker. He doesn't make the right decisions, and you're left scratching your head about the decisions that he makes. Okay? Some of the interceptions that he's thrown should have just been throw them away, live to fight another day. I think there was an interception thrown like in the end zone on first down, and it's like, well, if you don't have the throw that you were looking for on first down, you just throw it out of the back of the end zone because you got 3 more downs. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just that type of thing with Trevor Lawrence. So I don't know if the Detroit or if the Jacksonville Jaguars are a better team with Trevor Lawrence or if they're a better team without Trevor Lawrence. I know that Mac Jones was, let me get the exact pick, because I call him a top 10 pick. Let me see. Where was he picked by the Patriots? Yeah, he was number 15. Okay. So no, he's not top 10. All right. So Mac Jones was 15th overall. Okay. And this was the Trey Lance draft. Okay. Remember when everyone was in love with Trey Lance, and we thought because Trey Lance is another one. Okay. A lot of these quarterbacks that we're seeing these days, Jared Goff is the same, have been ruined by their first situation. Okay? Jared Goff just so happened to come to his second situation, and not initially by all of the fans, and I'll keep saying I was one of them, not initially by all of the fans, but he was embraced by Brad Holmes because he was there when they drafted him in LA. He was embraced by Dan Campbell. He was embraced by Ben Johnson, right? He was embraced in the internal culture of the Detroit Lions. There were some fans that embraced him. There were some fans that saw it some fans followed his career for whatever reason closer than the majority of fans. When I saw Jared Goff on the football field for the Detroit Lions for the first time, I was done. I wanted to throw up. Okay. And that first season, I just wanted him out of town so quickly. So this is what Mac Jones. This is not the path of Mac Jones. Mac Jones was in a situation where he was actively ruined by Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick had Matt Patricia being his coordinator. Okay. We could get to Caleb Williams, Justin Fan. I like talking about Caleb Williams. So we'll get to Caleb Williams. Mac Jones was in a situation where Matt Patricia was his offensive coordinator. And Mac Jones was like visibly like on the field arguing with some of the crazy things that Matt Patricia was calling. And then I think his second one was Bill O'Brien. And Bill O'Brien, he's kind of a hard-nosed, no-nonsense coach. Likes to yell and be angry. I don't know if that was the right fit for Mac Jones, and clearly it wasn't because they moved on from Mac Jones rather quickly. I think he was in New England for 2 years, right? Trey Lance, same situation. Trey Lance comes in, San Francisco 49ers traded everything for him. In a Ricky Williams type deal, which, I mean, the Ricky Williams deal was crazy. You have to go back and look that up, right? It wasn't a Ricky Williams type deal. That's just something I'm kind of comparing it to. But they gave up the farm for Trey Lance, and because of the situation that Trey Lance came into, they had given up the farm for him, and they expected him to play right away. Trey Lance went to North Dakota State University. He barely played North Dakota State. That COVID year, their season was shortened. He had attempted like 200 passes in college, something like this, which was crazy, right? In the grand scheme of things, remember when Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions lost to Tampa Bay? Jared Goff threw 55 passes in that game. Trey Lance had thrown 200 passes in college. So Trey Lance wasn't ready to be in the situation that he was in. And he's maybe irrevocably broken because he doesn't look good at all after being, getting injured and then, ending the season and then coming back and not being able to beat out Brock Purdy and then getting traded to the Cowboys. What does he do? He goes into there's a preseason game where he threw 5 picks. Then he gets into the Cowboys game and he throws a pick. And while the pick wasn't his fault, the last 2 times we've seen him, he's thrown 6 picks. Now, 5 picks in preseason doesn't matter because the preseason doesn't mean anything. But he's thrown 6 picks the last 2 times we've seen him in the NFL. So I think Trey Lance is irrevocably broken unless he's got to get to a situation where he is actively being developed. And he's a reclamation project. He's got to go to a place where they want to say, look, we're going to sit you down for the entire year. You're not going to play anything. But what we're going to do is we're going to teach you, we're going to coach you up because we know you have the physical tools. We know you have the big, huge arm. We know you have the scrambling ability. We know you are, built like Josh Allen, okay, who was in the same conference, went to Wyoming. We know that you have all of that, but we're just going to get it out of you. And there's no pressure on you. Okay, you're not going to start. You're not going to play. We just want to take an entire year to reclaim your skills, to reclaim your confidence so that you can believe that you can do it because we believe in you. This was the same situation that Baker Mayfield found himself in. Not exactly with all of that, but with Tampa Bay, he went to a place where they believed in him. Okay. With Jared Goff, he went to a place where they believed in him. In Detroit. Okay. Sam Darnold is interesting. Yes, they believe in him for this year. But Sam Darnold wasn't competing to be the number one guy for a stretch of time. JJ McCarthy is going to be that guy, and he knows that. But for this year, they said we can rock with Sam Darnold, and it's not going to be an issue. And that was a little bit of belief, I guess, that he needed. Okay. So Mac Jones is out there broken, and we're getting a broken quarterback coming in versus a quarterback who got paid like Jared Goff got paid. He got, a really big deal. And that's what we were talking about in the beginning. That deal was ridiculous because Trevor Lawrence, aka Trevor Noah, aka Rapunzel, has not shown you anything that would like, he really got paid on potential. Trevor Lawrence really got paid on potential. Like, when you draft a quarterback, when you draft any player, they're getting drafted on potential, right? Because while they've shown you everything they've shown you at the college level, it is not the professional level. They're not showing you the same thing. Do you expect it to translate? Well, when you pick someone number one overall, yes, you expect it to translate. When you pick someone in the top 10, you expect it to translate. When you pick someone in the first round, you expect it to translate, but you don't expect it sometimes to immediately translate. When Lamar Jackson got picked, 32nd overall, he wasn't the starter, right? I think Joe Flacco was still starting. But at some point, it was like, all right, well, Lamar, we did get you in the first round. You have been sitting. We are losing. John Harbaugh was maybe going to get fired. Let's put in Lamar and see what he can do. Okay, so he got that grace because he wasn't the number one overall pick. If he was the number one overall pick, he's just going into Baltimore, installed as a starter day one. And because I'm very good at tying things together, right? Right, Justin Fan? Let's talk about Caleb Williams. Same situation. Caleb Williams was drafted to be the starter. There was not any thought. Okay, when they named him the number one or the starting quarterback, it was just this dog and pony show, right? It was just ridiculous. Okay, Caleb Williams, if you remember, when he was drafted, he texted the punter. And he told the punter he wasn't going to be doing a lot of punting this season. Caleb Williams did that. Never stepping into an NFL facility. Like, obviously, he had stepped into NFL facilities during the draft process, going on pre-draft visit, to Chicago and all these things, right? But, yeah. So basically said Chicago wouldn't need a punter and, texted the punter and told him, whatever, you're not going to be doing a lot of punting this year. Your boy, was he wrong. Now, Caleb Williams is not like these other quarterbacks that I spoke to you about. He's not like Trevor Lawrence. He's not like Baker Mayfield. He's not like Sam Darnold. He's not like Trey Lance. He's not like Jared Goff. The problem with Caleb Williams is arrogant. Okay, that's his problem, and this is the thing that you could see from him texting a punter. You're a rookie, bro. You've never thrown a pass in the NFL. Okay, and again, I'll keep saying this. I said I didn't watch Caleb Williams play football at USC last season. I didn't watch it live. I didn't watch any of the replays. But what I did do is there was a someone, and shout out to whoever this was because I don't remember who did it, but there was someone that took every single play that Caleb Williams not that was involved in, but everything that was orchestrated by him. So every pass that he threw and every run that he took off on. Okay. So obviously didn't have the handoffs and all these things because that's not what that person was showing you. They were showing you the full workload of Caleb Williams as the offense. Okay. Whether he was throwing or whether he was running. And the thing that I was able to understand from watching that, it was over an hour of gameplay, was that was that Caleb Williams was in love with hero ball. Okay? Caleb Williams was believing in his own hype, but it was too untrue. Shout out Lupe Fiasco, Chicago legend. You see how I do these things? It's easy. It just comes so easily. But anyway, this was the problem with Caleb Williams, and I said if Caleb Williams does not have a coach or coaching staff that can coach the hero ball out of him, he is going to struggle. He is not going to be good in the NFL, and I've been correct so far. Okay, Caleb Williams was sacked 9 times last week. Caleb Williams has been sacked 15 times in the last 2 weeks. Sacked 9 last week, sacked 6 the week before. Is it going up? Is he gonna get sacked 12 times this week versus the Green Bay Packers? We'll see. Okay, but when you get your offensive coordinator fired, now Shane Waldron wasn't a great offensive coordinator. Remember the Jackson Smith and Jigba interview at the Super Bowl when they asked him about Shane Waldron, and he was like, is this live? is it live? You know, it's just like when that is all you needed to know. I don't even know what happened with the rest of his answer. I know he was kind of trying to pick around. Chris Olave was sitting next to him. Chris Olave plays for the New Orleans Saints. Chris Olave was like, when they asked that question. He was like, oh boy, here it comes. Like he had that look on his face like, yeah, we've been talking about Shane Waldron for weeks, bro. That dude's trash. Okay? Granted, all of that may have been true. But Caleb Williams leads the league in being sacked while holding the ball for 4 seconds. You cannot in the NFL hold the ball for 4 seconds. When they talked about his pocket presence and his poise in the pocket and all that stuff that they talked about during this preseason, when he was playing against guys that are going to go back to work at the Piggly Wiggly at the end of the preseason, okay, or going back to their construction jobs or going back to whatever jobs that they have, not as NFL football players because they're not the guys getting paid millions. When he was going against those guys, that's what I said. I said, wait till he goes up against the guys that are getting paid millions. The Chicago Bears have 4 wins. Each of their 4 wins came against a team that only had 1 win at the time. If Will Levis wasn't such a dumpster fire, they would have lost to the Tennessee Titans. Let that sink in. The Tennessee Titans also have 3 wins. They are 1 win behind Chicago Bears. Okay, so without Will Levis doing Will Levis things, you can flip their record. Now, the Tennessee Titans have won 4, and the Chicago Bears have won 3. Caleb Williams threw for less than 100 yards his first game. But I think I've accurately described the problem with Caleb Williams. All right. If you came for all the stats and none of the static, if you're trying to keep your Lions news pragmatic, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you can get notified when the Motor City Cats are back at it, and plus, you know you can't get enough of the victory buffs.